Hello students, today we will be learning the sixth chapter, that is
The Giant's Garden. Long, long ago, there lived a giant.
First of all, what do you mean by a giant? I will show you along with the word
Who had a beautiful garden in his castle.
castle, okay? As you can see over here, I am showing you an image. You must have seen this in the TV also, right? This is Disneyland. Now this kind of a structure or a building is known as a castle. As you can see, does not look like a normal house. It has very high walls and very strong walls. This was built in the olden days. And for what reason? To be protected against the enemies. Because in the olden days there used to be many wars and fights. I'll show you another example. This is also a castle. And now let me tell you what is a giant. A giant is a human being but not looking like us. As you can see, this is a real image of a giant. These people are of the same height as we are. But this person is taller than them and even looks huge. This is another example over here. You must be knowing the very famous wrestler, that is the Great Khali, who is an Indian. He is also known as a giant. Okay, so let's go on with the chapter.
The garden had many flowers and trees with birds singing all the time.
Up till here you must have understood already, and let me tell you now itself that in this lesson most of the lines are very easy to understand, so I won't explain to you each and every line.
But the giant never let anyone enter his garden. Whenever he went to his friend Ogre's house,
Now you should know what is ogre. You must be knowing this famous character, that is Shrek. Even if you don't know, I'll tell you what it is. Ogre means it is not exactly a human being, but in the olden days, people used to believe that an ogre is a kind of creature that eats human beings, or you can also say a human being that eats human beings. I won't show you the photos of ogres because you may get scared also looking at it. If you want, you can search it using Google, okay? So this is just a cartoon example of what is ogre. Now since this person was a giant, his friend was also almost the same kind, that is ogre.
children would come there to play. One day, the giant returned from his friend's place after 7 years.
Now why so long time? Why 7 years? Because you must be knowing in the olden days people did not have a lot of transportation. So it would take months and years to travel from one place to the other.
He became very angry on seeing children playing in his garden. He chased them away and built a high wall around the garden.
You must have seen what he did right now. When the children are playing,
He chased them away.
he is chasing them away. Chasing means what we do for animals. For example, when we see cows eating plants, we chase them away. That means making somebody or some animal scared so that they go away from there.
And built a high wall around the garden. The children felt sad as they had nowhere to play. How happy we were in the garden, they said. When the children stopped coming to the garden, the trees and flowers became so sad that they forgot to blossom.
Now the meaning of blossom over here is, if I tell you in Hindi, it is khil utna or khilna. No flowers used to come up in his garden after the children stopped coming over there.
The only people who were pleased were the snow and the frost.
Now, why people, and that too for snow and frost? First of all, what is the meaning of pleased? When you make somebody happy, you can also say that he was pleased by me. That means a person becomes happy. The only people who were happy were the snow and the frost. Now back to that point, why people for snow and frost? Now this is a story and it is animated. You know the meaning of animated, right? That it is made in a computer. So that's why we use the word people. Now snow and frost are not living things, but we will use this word just to describe them. Let me also tell you the difference between these two words. First of all, we'll go for frost. As you can see, wherever there are water droplets, it starts freezing. See, slowly by slowly it starts freezing. This is known as frost. Now what is the meaning of snow? Let me show you another video over here. You must be aware what is snowfall. This is snowfall, but we never have frost fall. Snow falls from the sky, but frost never falls from the sky. Look at it once again. See, wherever there is water, you will see that it keeps on freezing till the whole thing becomes ice.
Spring has forgotten this garden, they cried out.
Now who is they? The same people, snow and frost. Spring has forgotten this garden. I already showed you what is spring season. If you remember, it was shown in the first chapter. That is Pippa's song.
So we will live here all the year round. The snow covered up the grass with her great white cloak.
As I already told you, snow and frost are compared to human beings over here. So in the same way, the snow covered up the grass with her. Now her we use mostly for females, right? So why is it used for snow? For the same reason, because snow is compared to a human being over here. What is the meaning of cloak? As you can see what this person is wearing, it is not like a normal shirt or t-shirt. It is a type of clothing that goes over your other clothes. You can see in this image also, he is already wearing something inside, but cloak is worn over the other clothes. So the snow covered up the grass with a great white cloak. It was not really a cloak, but it is compared to a cloak.
And the frost painted all the trees silver.
Now, painted does not mean used a brush and painted with silver color, okay? It means that frost was all over the trees.
I don't understand why spring is not coming to my garden. The giant wondered one day.
The meaning of wondered is thought.
The spring didn't come, nor the summer.
Now you know seasons keep on changing with the months. But over here, even the spring did not come, even the summer did not come. What was there over here? Only snow and frost. That means it was cold all the time.
The autumn gave golden fruits to every garden.
The autumn. Now I'll show you what autumn is. You can see beautiful pictures over here. Autumn means it is a season where the trees shed off their leaves. Shed off means all the leaves fall, and it's a very beautiful season. Now when the leaves fall off, new leaves are grown on the trees. As you can see over here also, a lot of leaves are fallen on the ground. So the leaves that fall off In place of those leaves, new leaves are grown.
Except the giant's garden.
Let us go back to this full sentence. The autumn gave golden fruits to every garden.
Garden. Except the giant's garden.
The meaning of except is छोड़कर, that means उसके अलावा हर दूसरे जगह पर ऐसा हुआ था. Except the giant's garden, that means it happened everywhere but not in the giant's garden.
He is too selfish, she said. A long time passed, and one morning the giant lay awake in bed. He heard some lovely music. It sounded so sweet to his ears that he thought it might be the king's musicians passing by.
Now, what do you mean by king's musicians? This is not a real picture, this is a painting or something. But in the olden days, in the king's court, or what we say in Hindi, Mahal, the king used to have musicians who used to play music for him. As you can see over here, there are horses also. Even when these musicians used to pass by on the streets, they would also play music. So, this giant thought that the king's musicians are passing by.
It was a little linnet singing outside his window.
Linnet means it is a kind of bird. You can see this small bird over here. This is known as a linnet. Okay, now I'll show you a video of linnet as well. Just listen to the sound carefully. Okay, so this kind of a bird was making this sound, and the giant thought that it was the king's musician. But when he got up from his bed, he saw that it was a linnet singing outside his window.
It had been so long since he had heard a bird sing in his garden.
Had been so long since means what? कई समय तक उसने सुना नहीं था.
That it seemed to him to be the most beautiful music in the world.
Now, since so many months passed that he did not see children in his garden, he did not see birds, he did not see the autumn, the spring. So, it seemed to him to be the most beautiful music in the world. Just one small bird's music was like the most beautiful music for him.
Suddenly, he noticed that hail stopped dancing over his head.
What is the meaning of hail? Let me show you over here. In Hindi, we call this as ole. Now, this doesn't happen many a times, but you must have heard about this, that in some places, these pieces of ice starts falling from the sky. So, this is known as hail. Hail stopped dancing over his head. Now, dancing does not mean it was really dancing. It means that hail stopped over there.
The cold north wind ceased roaring.
The meaning of roaring is dahadna. How a lion does, a lion roars. You must have heard the sound of breeze. Over here we have the name north wind. Ceased means stopped. The cold north wind stopped roaring. That means the sound of the wind stopped.
And a sweet perfume came to him through the open casement.
Now, the meaning of casement is, here you can see it is small in size, but since he is a giant, this was a very big window. A window which opens like a door is known as a casement.
I believe the spring has come at last, said the giant. and he looked out. What did he see? The children were playing in the garden. They had entered through a small hole in the wall.
Now, which wall was this? As you can see, this wall was built around the giant's garden. And why had he built this wall? So that the children could not enter inside. But one fine day, the children found a small hole, as you can see over here, and they entered through this hole and started playing in the garden.
And spring had arrived in the garden at last to express its happiness on seeing the children again. The giant realized that he had been selfish.
Realized means उसे एहसास हुआ. What is the meaning of selfish? A person who does not like to help anybody, does not want to take help, or does not like to be with people.
And was very sorry for what he had done. He let the children play in the garden every day. The giant's favorite among the children was a little boy who had kissed him when he helped him to get on top of the tree.
Now there was this one little boy among all the children who was the favorite of the giant. Now why was he the favorite? Because this small boy had kissed him when he helped him to get on top of the tree. Now this child wanted to sit on the tree, but since he had a short height, he took the help of the giant. And when the giant put him on the tree, he became very happy with that.
But the little boy had stopped coming to the garden, and the giant became very sad. Many years passed, and the giant grew old and weak. One winter morning, the giant saw the same boy under a tree.
As you can see over here, there is something white around the boy, okay? Just keep on noticing this. I will tell you what it is.
He ran down to the boy in joy. The boy was a kind angel.
Angel means what? Pari, what we say in Hindi. Now this was not a normal human being, this was an angel
who had come to take the giant to the Garden of Paradise as a reward.
Now you immediately saw that this boy and this giant were in the castle area only, inside the garden. And how did they reach over here suddenly? Which place is this? The Garden of Paradise. It was not the garden of the selfish giant, but Garden of Paradise. What is the meaning of paradise? Heaven, or in Hindi we call it as Swarg, as a reward
for letting him play in his garden.
What do you understand by this? Since the giant had already become old and weak, this was the day that the giant passed away. The meaning of passed away is that he died. And this boy came as an angel to take him to paradise. Now why did he reach paradise? Because he did a good work by letting the children play in his garden. So that's all about this story. Thank you, students.